we are all passionate. We are all talented and multi-talented. And oftentimes we find ourselves saying, I am so passionate about this thing, but I'm not passionate about my job. I get it. I worked in sales for a very, very long time. My last job was working for Sprint on the corporate side, selling their cell phone devices to businesses. And I was not passionate about it, not one bit. And so today, in this episode of the Keenya Kelly podcast, I am going to be talking to you about how to turn your passion into profit and mainly a business. So welcome back to another episode of the Keenya Kelly podcast. I am so excited that you are here today, and we are going to be talking about turning your passion into profits, into a business. For those of you guys that are watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. We have new videos that come out every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then if you are listening to the podcast, come on to YouTube, and that way you can watch all the things and get all the goodies that we have here. And then when you're on the go, you can listen to the podcast under the Keenya Kelly podcast on all podcast players. So today we're talking about turning your passion into profits, into a business, okay? And it's really important to know that, I feel really excited to talk about this because I just had an interview recently, and the whole interview was they were really talking to me about me and then the business side of me. And I felt so happy and full at the end of that, conversation, because they really wanted to talk to me about me. And one of the questions they asked me, they said, what do you love most about what it is that you do? And I thought about it and I said, well, that I just get to be myself. I said, I will tell people online that I have chin hairs, that I snore, and I'm working on my snoring. If you have any tips, let your girl know. I do mouth tape, but let me know if you got some tips. That I have chin hairs, that I snore, that I'm missing a couple teeth, that I'm imperfect, that I'm in therapy, and all these things. And that I get to be myself. So I can break out in song, or I can break out in dance, or whatever it is. And there's nobody telling me that I can't do it, right? So I'll give you a little funny example. So recently I spoke at the California Association of Realtors conference. It was a really big event. And, there was no one telling me how to dress, how not to dress, what I could say or what I couldn't say. And I got on stage. I hadn't seen any of the speakers prior to that. I got on stage and was just talking, being myself. I was dancing a little bit. I was talking about being on a runway. I talked about being single. And I said, if you're a man in the audience and you're single, like black girls, send me a DM. And I said it multiple times and everybody was laughing. At one point in time, the slides were messing up. And I was just I knew they were going to try to fix it. And so I just kind of started dancing and everybody was watching me dance. And I was like, it's fine. They're going to get the slides. And there were no restrictions. I didn't feel like I had to be anything. I didn't feel like I couldn't be myself, and it was very liberating to just be you. And then to watch people, once your presentation's over with, how they respond to you and all the things. And, so I was telling them that on that interview, and I'm like, it just makes me so happy. It makes me want to come to work every day because I just get to be myself. And the truth is that I have always been this way in terms of this is me, this is my personality. But I worked in all the jobs that I worked in because I had to pay my bills. And because I love people, I love encouraging people, I love talking and speaking, I just love what it is that I do. I was able to turn my passion for speaking and people and just being magnetic and charismatic or whatever into a business. And so when I think about you and this episode today, I said to myself, let's talk about what you need to do. Okay. So I do need to tell you this. Outside of the fun stuff, the frilly stuff, the stuff you get to see, there is a lot of work that is involved. It is worth it, okay? I'll say this. It is worth it, but it is just really important to set your expectations up that you're going to be passionate about aspects of your business. And then there's certain aspects you are not. If you agree with me, say amen. If you're on the podcast, you can just say amen as you listen. If you're watching this on YouTube, just type amen in the comments, okay? Because it's called building a business, right? Because what we're not talking about today is just making money online, right? Because you can't just make money online. Like, for example, let's just say you have a passion for, what do I have? I have a necklace here, a passion for making jewelry, right? Well, what's going to have to happen is that you're going to have to buy things. You're going to have inventory. You're going to have to make them. You're going to have to price your products. And at some point in time, you're going to have to pay taxes and shipping and cost of like packaging the things and all the stuff, right? And so the passion part is going to be, oh my God, I love making jewelry. This is so much fun for me, right? But the part that you may not be as excited about is having to actually sell, having to do the thing that it takes for people to know that your product or service exists, right? Having to package the products, having to go and ship the products, like all the other things, plus like payroll if you start hiring a team, managing customer service, refunds, all the stuff that could go along with the business. And so I just want to set up your expectations that is a part of it, okay? But let's get into the fun stuff first. So when it comes to turning your passion into profits into a business, here's one of the things you have to do. First of all, you have this passion for X, right? Which is great. I want you to ask yourself, are people calling you for that? Right? Even if you're not selling it, are people texting you, calling you, emailing you, messaging you on social media for that? If you talked about it enough online, do you think that people would be interested in purchasing it? Right? For example, when I think about Marie Kondo and how she had the show on Netflix about like organization and all that type of stuff, it's really important that, like, I guarantee she was doing what she was doing for a long time. And people would come to her house and see like, wow, this is so organized. This is amazing. And over time, she would start doing that at other people's houses, maybe at events or whatever. And I guarantee you people started saying like, can you do that for my house? And she had to get to a point where she realized, okay, there's something that goes along with all of what I do. There's time and energy and all that in what I do. And she had to determine like, is there a need for this? And so for you, I want you going out online and seeing, is anybody doing what you're doing? I'm not saying that the way to know that this is a valuable business is if other people are doing it. I'm saying this is how you start the process, okay? So you want to start the process of finding out, are people doing what it is that you want to do? If the answer is yes, that's one thing. If the answer is no, then you want to dig a little bit deeper, okay? Then you want to ask yourself the question of, okay, if nobody is doing this and I offer this, how will this impact people's lives, right? So for example, right now in my hand, because it's on my desk, I have this little thing for dental floss, right? And so, I guarantee you that, there was a point where we were all using dental floss the way we were using it. And somebody was saying to themselves, I am thinking about turning dental floss into like a little pick. That way I don't have to actually touch the floss. It's not getting on my fingers. It's just, and it can go back farther because my finger can go down here and the thing can go all the way back there in someone's mouth. But I guarantee that person had to go, but are people flossing? Are people having trouble? Do they feel any type of way about dental floss when you had it in your hands, right? And they had to do some research to determine, is this a real thing? And now I am sitting here with this floss that I always have, some on my desk, some in my purse, some in the bathroom, because things get caught in your teeth and you just want to handle your business, right? But they had to ask themselves, was this a need, even though nobody was offering it in this way, right? So you want to say to yourself, okay, I bake cookies, okay? I bake vegan cookies. Is there a need for vegan cookies, right? Is there a desire for vegan cookies? Where you live, is there a desire for vegan cookies? Like here in Southern California, yes, everybody is vegan everything, gluten-free everything, which is awesome, right? But there's certain parts of the world where they're like, No. Certain parts of the country, like city, where you're like, nobody in that city is buying a vegan cookie, so to speak. I don't know that city, but you know what I'm saying when I say this, right? And so you can be passionate about it. And so then you may go, okay, well, then I want to ship vegan cookies. Okay. Instead of me, having a storefront, I want to actually ship vegan cookies. Right. And you have to go, okay, is there a need for that? Is there anybody doing anything like that out there? Okay. Now, what I also want you to consider is asking yourself this question of like, oh, here's this thing that I want to do that I am passionate about. I want you to ask yourself this question of like, how big of a business are you trying to build? Right? Are you trying to just do something small where it gives you passive income and you just enjoy doing it? Are you trying to quit your job, or are you trying to build a multi-6-figure, maybe even 7 or 8-figure business? Ask yourself those particular questions, right? Because once you know that answer, then how you are approaching turning your passion into profits or business is how you would move forward, right? So for me, I always had the vision of hosting big events, conferences, thousands of people, maybe even 1 million people at some point in time, of just doing that, encouraging, doing all this stuff. I always had that big vision. So when it came to building this personal brand, Keenya Kelly, I kept going, okay, this is what I'm trying to do, where I'm ending up, and here's where I am today. How do I take myself from here to there? And so it was me working on myself, developing my skills, developing myself internally, mentally, and emotionally, externally, and all that type of stuff. So that way I could, turn the idea into a business. But then I had to say to myself, like, here's what I want to build, but who needs my help? Who would want my help? Right? And in what way do they want my help? And can I offer my help to them? Right? And so then I had to go, well, how do I do that? And so once I went out to the marketplace, I could see there was the coaching and consulting industry. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that was a thing. And then I was able to come into that and then start learning and growing and developing and all the things to turn my passion for speaking and teaching and people into an actual business. Okay. So whatever it is that your thing is, okay, you've got to, like, before you launch out into a thing, you've got to ask yourself, what am I trying to really do with this? Like, how small do I want to stay? How big do I want to go? And all that type of stuff. And then you have to ask your question of like, okay, what do I need to get started? All right. What do I need to get started? Because you may need somebody, a coach, right? We may work together, right? You may need a physical location. You may need inventory. You may need to get a loan to be able to do the things you want to do to get started in your business. Or you might just need a camera. You might just need to get on video and start creating short video, long video, or podcast, right? But you have to determine like, okay, what do I need to get started? And you may not know that answer. And if you don't, and you can go out to the internet and see what other people are doing, that may give you some answers. Now, the cool thing about today's age is that you can go out to AI. So one of my new favorite AI tools is Claude, CLAUDE.ai, Claude AI. And you can go to Claude AI and say, hey, I'm passionate about jewelry making. I haven't started a business yet. I want to start a business creating necklaces and bracelets for whoever you're creating it for. Can you please tell me step by step, what do I need in order to get started creating this business so that I can make $50,000 by the end of 2024? And you can ask that to AI, and AI will start a list for you. I mean, it's wild when I just say that out loud, but it will start a list for you so you can get the party started. I know you're probably like, what? Yeah. And so instead of you trying to figure it out these days, you can use AI to help get you started. Okay. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I would love to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments, here on YouTube. And if you're on the podcast, feel free to tell me on Instagram or what have you. Okay. So thank you so much for listening and watching.